welcome back to another Kingdom Hearts video. And today we're going to be talking about Kingdom Hearts Dark Road, and we'll be talking about the main villain of Kingdom Hearts from Kingdom Hearts 1 to Kingdom Hearts 3 technically, which is Master Xehanort. The reason why we're talking about Master Xehanort today during Kingdom Hearts Dark Road is because the game is about him and why he chose to become the Seeker of Darkness, which was, well, technically Xehanort into Ansem, but, you know, we'll talk about that soon. So, here's young Xehanort. During the time of him being young Xehanort, he lived in Scala. Scala was his new home when a man in a brown robe found him, brown robe, brown cloak, either one, found him and told him his life could change if he takes one step through the portal. And as a child, you know, kids want to explore the world no matter what happens to them. So young Xehanort stepped through the portal and went to Scala at Kylie. In Scala, he made lots of friends. And spoiler warning here, 4 of them died. But the point here isn't about his friends that are dying. The point here is to figure out why Master Xehanort joined the darkness. So, we're going to talk about the ending of Recoded back in Kingdom Hearts Recoded. And what happened was that young Xehanort met Xigbar. And Xigbar was telling young Xehanort that he is scared of Master Xehanort because Master Xehanort can read minds and read thoughts, and you know he's a dangerous person to mess with. But the thing is that young Xehanort during that cutscene explained to Xigbar that the more Keyblade wielders that were created, the more Keyblades had to be created to pass down. So, what we're going to understand today is that during the time of young Xehanort, when he became Old Man Xehanort, then Xehanort, then Ansem, and then Xemnas. Why? Why did he choose the darkness and ask Xigbar for help to corrupt Terra? Well, many people would say it's because Terra's body was the perfect body for Xehanort, right? Well, actually, I have another thought that's running through my mind that I would like to speak about today, and it's going to be a lot, so let's get ready. So, in Kingdom Hearts, Master Xehanort was the first technically person we knew about that was Xehanort, because before we knew Master Xehanort, we thought Ansem was the one that actually was writing the Ansem reports. But we figured out that that was not Ansem the Seeker of Darkness, it was actually Ansem the Wise, his master. So, when we speak here today about why Master Xehanort allowed the darkness to take hold, it's because young Xehanort himself, like he said, yes, the power of friendship is strong, but it's not as equal to the power of darkness, which is loneliness. And the problem here with that statement is that Master Xehanort was never alone. And see, that's the thing, he was always with Master Icarus. Or Ericus, I'm sorry. And the thing is that if Master Xehanort always felt he was alone, no matter what he did, does that mean that he felt alone because of what the Master of Masters told him? Or did he always feel alone because he could never save his friends during the time he tried his best to? Now, we all know how it feels to try your best to be close to someone and try your best to help them no matter what happens to them and no matter what happens to you, but in the end, they just don't listen to you because, you know, they feel as if their opinion is right, and you don't want them to go through that type of pain. So you get your friends to listen to you and you give them advice and you try your best to help them have the best life they can. But then let's say your advice falls apart and what you tell them gets them killed. You'd be scarred for life. You'd think that maybe you were the wrong person all along, and if you never were there, maybe their lives would have been better. And maybe that's what I think Master Xehanort felt. During the time in Dark Road, when he was putting the flowers at their graves, like Master Ericus said, it wasn't your fault, Xehanort. And that's the thing, Xehanort blames himself for the fault of his friends. But see, there's a problem here. And there's a thing that I'd like to explain to everyone here. If Master Xehanort knew from the beginning that the darkness was wrong, but he took the outcome of joining the darkness because they said it would help him reset the world with the X-Blade from Kingdom Hearts. Resetting the world wouldn't make the world better. And see, that's the thing that I want to speak about even more and put my input on. Ansem and Xemnas were both his Heartless and Nobody, and they both gained hearts. Sora said himself that he knew Xemnas has a heart, and Riku knew from Ansem that he cared. So why did Xehanort, knowing that he wanted a life where he could change things, force his Heartless and Nobody into helping him do these terrible things? Well, it's because, like young Xehanort said, the one thing that's stronger than light and friendship is loneliness. Technically, Ansem and Xehanort are Ansem, Xehanort, Xemnas, Terranort, young Xehanort. Same for technically Dark Riku. They're all the same person. Even Vanitas. They all come from Xehanort. Ansem gave Riku power, Xehanort possessed Terranort. Ansem, Xemnas, Nobody, Heartless. Young Xehanort's just younger version of Master Xehanort. Vanitas came from Xehanort by releasing it from Ventus. So, and Xion as well. Xion is just memories that was created from Sora that Vexen helped create and Xemnas wanted. Xigbar was with Master Xehanort all this time. So the only members you could technically think of that weren't technically a part of Xehanort is Marluxia, Larxene, Luxord, and Saïx. But Saïx became so driven to become Xemnas' right-hand man that he did anything to become that right-hand man, that he put even an X on his face. He carved an X in his face to become that close to Xemnas. So technically you can even say Saïx joined as closely as possible. Marluxia and Larxene tried to betray the organization in Chain of Memory. So you could say they're the two most that really much don't care about the organization. Luxord, like he said, follows the rules no matter what. He follows orders no matter what. And Xigbar has been friends with Xehanort from the very beginning. So there's no betrayal. And we all know he's Luxu now. He was just following Xehanort to see how the Keyblade would turn out. So the problem is that if you look at the real Organization 13, Xehanort wasn't alone, but at the same time he was. Because if you think about it, this is just a bunch of Xehanorts. And that really fills in a hole for why, when Xemnas and Ansem believed there was no way of them ever gaining a heart, that a heart was nothing more than something they could never accomplish until they awakened Kingdom Hearts, that's why Sora always believed that they were both lying. Because there's no way they wouldn't have a heart. Even Xemnas said in Dream Drop Distance himself that a heart could be replaced no matter how long it's out of a person. They all have feelings. They all have their own personality. So the thing here that I'd like to talk about is Xemnas and Ansem, Master Xehanort, young Xehanort, and Terranort lying to themselves? Are they really actually trying to do this to reset Kingdom Hearts, or was Master Xehanort actually doing this to fulfill his own failures? If you think about it here, Master Xehanort always said through his entire life in Kingdom Hearts that he's always planned for all eventualities no matter what came to change. So that's what I don't understand. Like Sora said to Master Xehanort at the end of the game in Kingdom Hearts 3, a leader knows that destiny is something that they cannot change, destiny and fate. But Xehanort's trying to change it not because he wants to destroy the world, but because he wants to bring his friends back. He wants to save the people that he couldn't save in the past. But see, Xehanort is something that he never wanted to become. Something that he would use anybody to make his goal come true. When he was a child, he said himself that he wished he could have saved them. He wished that he could have had another way to make his life better. So if Master Xehanort knew that that life of his could have been changed changed, why did he force the two people that he knew the most, technically, that are his heartless and nobody, to live out that life as well? Ansem said himself in the end of Kingdom Hearts 3 when he was dying is that he wanted to defy his fate, but he couldn't. Same for Xemnas. All this time he thought he never had a heart, but he always did. He just never thought he did, because he just always believed that he could never gain one because he's a nobody. And all of those things were taught from what he learned as Xehanort. And that's what I'm trying to say here to all of you. These two are just a piece of Xehanort. They're two separate pieces. Ansem cared for Riku, right? Now, a lot of people could say that no, Ansem did not care about Riku at all. Well, actually he did. He saved Riku's life so many times in Chain of Memories. He saved his life at the end of Kingdom Hearts 1 by allowing him to leave the in-between of darkness and light. Yes, Ansem tried to force him to join, but that's a different story. Because if you think about it really hard, even in Dreams Drop Distance, Ansem said himself that Riku did fail, but he would give him more darkness to become more powerful. That's an insight there, that Ansem was giving Riku power because he was weak and he didn't want to see Riku die. Because think about it, I know a lot of people could say that this is wrong, but even young Xehanort said himself in Dreams Drop Distance that your best friend is never too far. Can never be too far, and that's the thing here, that even Riku understood in Kingdom Hearts 3 at the end, that he said, I think I'm going to miss you, Ansem. That's because if you think about it, Ansem has been with Riku since the beginning of Kingdom Hearts, gave Riku's power in Kingdom Hearts 1, fulfilled his goal of leaving the island, gave him everything he wanted, to be honest. And in the end, Riku rebelled against Ansem no matter what. He rebelled really hard. But see, that's a kid. Kids are rebellious. And Ansem knew that, but if you knew, Ansem was calm most of the time. So those two have a relationship with each other. Even in Riku's heart is Ansem on his pedestal of his heart. And that's just the thing here. It's just a connection of Xehanort had a heart, and there it is. Ansem, his heartless, showed the compassion of how Xehanort actually felt towards people that looked up to him, just like in the Dark Road game. Riku looked up to Ansem not just as a mentor, but in some points even a father figure. He did everything Ansem wanted. He even let Ansem possess his body. That's what I'm trying to say here. Those feelings that Xehanort had were in Ansem, and he gave those feelings to Riku. And here, we can even do Xemnas. Xemnas was more of cold, but we could explain that. Xemnas has a really good connection with Sora. Now, not because they're friends, but because they're the opposites. Xemnas believes that the world cannot be saved no matter what, because no bodies are incomplete. But like Sora said in the end of Kingdom Hearts 3, we know you have a heart. You've just been lying to us. That's how it technically is. Because in Kingdom Hearts 2, it was even, frankly, smack dab in our face that Xemnas kept saying anger and hatred are supreme, right? But why are those two feelings supreme? Because that's what Xehanort felt. He felt anger to himself for failing his friends in hatred. Hatred for the light, for betraying him, for leaving him behind, and allowing his friends to suffer and die because of his mistake. And see, that's the point of it all. Xemnas' motives all along are just Xehanort's. A world where things could be changed and reset, and just things could be better for not just him, but his nobodies. They all thought they had no hearts, but they do. And that's the thing, Xemnas had a heart. Him and Saïx were close. Him and Xigbar were close. That's what I'm trying to say here. He talked to Xigbar. Xigbar was always near him when they were talking. Xigbar was around Xemnas from the very beginning. And same for Saïx. Saïx did everything for Xemnas, no matter what. No matter how it turned out. So that's the point of it here. And so, in Kingdom Hearts 3, when he said this is my first surge of emotions in years, and in all of it at the end, I feel nothing but loneliness, you see a heart is just pain. When Sora said, Xemnas, pain is being human. Well, I want you to understand something. Xemnas has always felt that pain. And that's why he says it must take incredible strength, because he's been trying to get rid of that pain. And that's the point of it all. If Xemnas was trying to get rid of the pain he felt of using his members, think about it. Xemnas used all of them and didn't care at the end. He thought he was going to have his plan work out no matter what happened. But in the end, it just didn't. It didn't work out. So think about it. Think of all that regret that Xemnas had of using all of his allies and just throwing them away like they were nothing. That's why Xemnas said it must take incredible strength to have those feelings, to be able to hold those feelings. It's because it's hard to be able to live with feelings of just sadness and regret and doubt, loneliness, nothingness. Because guess what? That's how Xehanort felt. Like young Xehanort said, he was lonely after his friend died. Well, Xemnas was lonely, but also Xehanort in his past wanted to mentor people and help them live a life that, they would cherish, and have a place where he could help them live a life where they wouldn't make any mistakes anymore. And that's what Ansem did. So that's what I'm trying to say. These two are separate feelings of Xehanort, and combined they make Xehanort's feelings. So that's why I feel as if that in Dark Road, when young Xehanort will probably meet the Master of Masters soon, we'll hear their full conversation. Why? Xehanort said that he wanted to rebuild the light, to restart the world. And he said that he would be the leader to help them all, no matter what. A leader like how Ansem was to Riku, but he would be a leader with an iron fist like Xemnas. Xemnas was the leader of the fake organization, and he ruled with an iron fist and a cold heart. But he had feelings towards those that dedicated everything to him and tried their best to show him that they really were loyal to him. Xigbar and Riku got the most treatment out of that, same for Vanitas. So, this is what I'm trying to come together here with what I'm trying to say. If it's possible for nobody heart and a heartless to split, and their feelings split with that, that would be the same for Sora when it comes to Roxas. Roxas and Sora aren't really the same. Maybe in Kingdom Hearts 2 you could say that, because Sora had a really big temper tantrum in Kingdom Hearts 2, but in Kingdom Hearts 1, he didn't. Sora was just a kid that wanted to save his little island and friends. See, Roxas was different from Sora. Roxas wanted to save Xion no matter what. And that's the same thing for Sora, but Roxas's personality is different. Roxas is just not a different character, but a different person. And when Sora said himself, you see, Roxas, you're your own person, that's the truth. When you split into a nobody and heartless, these people become different from you. And that's the truth. It's the wholehearted truth. And this was just so interesting about the Dark Road story. And that when he became the Seeker of Darkness, which is Ansem, right? Young Xehanort, Ansem, sure, but Ansem has that near his name, Ansem, Seeker of Darkness. If you think that to yourself very well, he was seeking out the darkness, but Master Xehanort was seeking out a way to improve the light. It's weird, it's complicated, and very convoluted when it comes to many things, but it's cool to see that how Xehanort's feelings when he was younger became when he turned into Master Xehanort, and they split into two. It's cool to think that, because Xehanort is just Xehanort, he was kind of the same, just, an asshole. But the others, it's pretty cool to see that emotion, and how Xemnas treated other members, and like how Ansem treated Riku. I don't really think Ansem really cared much for the others, but Ansem did treat Riku really well. Xemnas really liked talking to Sayax, Xigbar, close friends there. And if you think really well about it, it's pretty cool to see that. It really is, to see how Xehanort's two feelings of loneliness and hatred, all of his hatred was in Xemnas, and all of his feelings of friendship and trying to change the world and fix his mistakes went into Ansem. It's kind of telling, to tell you the truth. And that's what I want to make the video on today, to tell everyone that Xehanort is a very complicated character, but Nomura knew what he was doing. He broke Xehanort into multiple characters for us to understand his feelings. Old Man Xehanort will do last. Young Xehanort is his cocky and big-headed, huge ego self. The young Xehanort turned into Old Man Xehanort, which will do last, because he will be the piece of all of them. Xehanort is his, well, the same thing. He's Master Xehanort, but in a younger body. But then you have Ansem. Ansem is himself that has an emotion towards trying to make the world darkness, but he believed that the darkness would make the lives better, not just for him, but for everyone else around him, without thinking about how they felt. But he thought it was the best idea because he thought that he was the one with the righteousness in his mind. And if you think about it very well, like how it says in Dark Road that it looked like people thought of Xehanort as a mentor, well, that's the truth. Riku was technically Ansem's student during that time. Ansem gave him so much darkness that he became Dark Riku. Like, look at his Keyblade. And then you have those feelings in the heart of Xehanort turn into a nobody shell. The cold emotions of hatred and loneliness that Xehanort felt over the time trying to save his friends by feeling nothing more but sadness. But like people say, Master Xehanort was never alone. He had people around him that wanted to try to make his life better, like Ericus. And Xemnas was never alone. He had Sayax, who was really loyal to him no matter what. Xigbar, who was loyal, very loyal till the end as well. So that's the thing here. All these pieces of Xehanort that split, except for young Xehanort. But if you think about it, Riku, Ansem, Xehanort, young Xehanort, and Xemnas, and Vanitas, in little parts of it, are all pieces of just Xehanort. His emotions. Like, Dark Riku and young Xehanort are close. They're both cocky, big-headed, and believe they're more powerful than anyone else. And so that's what I'm here to... That's what this video was for, and why I made it, was to show that, yeah, Xehanort is a terrible person when it comes to many things, but if you look on the deeper aspect of it all, Master Xehanort is just like any other person. I know a lot of people would say, oh, get over it. But if powers were really real in the real world that we live in now, and there could be a way to reset light and darkness and try to fix your mistakes about everything you've done wrong, like Master Xehanort. Number one, you killed your best friend when you both were old. You got your other best friends killed because of your ideology that you were telling them. You created a heartless and nobody. The nobody caused so much pain. The heartless caused so much pain. You got your younger self going through time causing issues. You have Xehanort. You took over one of your three students and then hurt the other one by trying to force him to become a Keyblade and put him to sleep, and then put the other one in the realm of darkness for 10 years. And then you possess a little boy that just wants to live on his own life, and then you just recruit all these other members and lie to them, saying that they don't have hearts. I don't think anyone could cope with that. But you do it because at the end you think there's a road of light. And that road of light at the end was Sora. I know that sounds crazy, but even in the Kingdom of Hope opening, Sora was holding Master Xehanort's piece, while Xehanort was looking at Sora's piece. That light was Sora. He put them all back where they belong. So, and yeah, Master Xehanort didn't win, but he kind of did win. It's weird. It's like a tie, because Luxord went back to where he belongs and finished his goal with helping Zora. We'll talk about that later. They sent Larxene and Marluxia back and allowed them to remember who they really are. Xigbar is different. He helps. Once it all happened, he got to find, when he fought the organization, he got Sayax to admit his true feelings, because Axel fought him with the others. And if Sora wasn't around and, used the power of waking and abused it to bring them all back, Sayax would have still been with the organization at the end and would have never been near Axel again. So he helped, Sayax. He Xemnas, Ansem, he helped him have a goodbye. He helped Ansem say goodbye to Riku. Xemnas said goodbye to Sora. Shion, he helped Shion come back to her senses. He helped Terra. He helped Riku put himself back where he belongs. Because the world doesn't need more than one Riku, like he said himself. It's a lot. It really is. So that's just what I want to make the video on today, and tell me what you guys think in the comments below. Thanks for watching. See you all next time.